Hello and welcome to another Tabletop Games Blog Saturday review. From ancient times to the present day, women have never been recognized for their contributions to the world. Yet, throughout history, there have always been women who were strong leaders, who fought for better conditions and equal rights, and not just for themselves, who made significant scientific breakthroughs, were trend-setting artists, and did everything their male contemporaries did. So it is time for all women around the world to say, "We can play," by Julia Johansson and Albert Pinilla by Julie Burr. It's no small task to try and create a game that inspires future generations, and not only remembers these amazing women, but also keeps their examples alive. Yet that's exactly what We Can Play is aiming to do. It features 101 women who changed the world, as the game says itself, covering a time range starting with Hatshepsut in 1507 BC and going all the way to Kamala Harris in 2021. That's a lot of women and a time span of over 3,000 years from ancient history to the present day. We Can Play is a card game and follows the same sort of rules as the ever-popular Timeline game that has been released so many times over the years. So your aim is to play cards in front of you in chronological order. The first to have 7 cards in the correct order in front of them wins. All of the cards are double-sided, where both sides are basically exactly the same, except that one side shows a year, while the other one doesn't. Everyone starts with a card from a deck in front of them, and with the year side up. On your turn, you look at the top card from the deck, which doesn't show the year, and read its text. It tells you who the woman is who is depicted on the card, and one of her achievements. You now need to decide where this card fits into the timeline currently in front of you. Once you've made your choice, flip the card over to reveal the year. If you were right, you keep the card, and if you were wrong, you discard the card, and it's the next player's turn. There are a few more rules and small twists, like a small pushy luck element, and a kind of wild card that make We Can Play a bit different from your usual timeline game, but it's all really easy to learn and teach. It is the fact that there are so very few rules that is so important in my view. Without the rules overhead, you can really focus on the women and their achievements. You will recognize a lot of the names, and you will probably have a rough idea as to when these women lived, but it's not always as easy as you might think. Placing Hatshepsut before Sappho isn't difficult. There are nearly 1,000 years separating them. However, working out that Usra, Palestinian excavator working for archaeologist Dorothy Garrett, found Tabun 1, a 120,000-year-old Neanderthal skull at Tabun Cave, Israel, a year after Clara Campoamor was elected deputy of the city of Madrid, is a lot harder. So when you get it right, you're really pleased and proud of yourself, and you should be. Reversely, every time you make a mistake, you will remember the year of the event listed on the card. Slowly, you will absorb these women's names and their achievements. We Can Play's goal of keeping these women's examples alive is clearly being achieved, and done in such a fun and entertaining way. The other goal, encouraging new generations to dream big, is also being achieved in my view. We Can Play is a game that can be played by people of all ages. You don't have to have a history degree to place these women in the correct chronological order. In fact, there are many women from modern history featured in the game, and it's likely that it's younger players who will know much better when these women did what is described on their cards. For example, I didn't know when Megan Rapinoe was named the best FIFA women's player, even though I was aware that she is an advocate for a number of LGBT organizations. However, I'm sure that my daughter would have known that and would have been able to place the card correctly. I think there's a nice balance between women from ancient history and the present day that allows people of different ages to play together and be on an equal footing. I have to mention the game's green credentials as well. It is fully FSC certified, as should be the minimum for everything that uses wood pulp these days, as well as certified as a climate-neutral production. We Can Play was made with 100% renewable energy. On top of that, there's basically no plastic in this game. The cards come wrapped in a paper belly band, rather than shrink-wrapped in plastic. I think that's amazing and should be an example to publishers everywhere. I appreciate not everything needs to be plastic-free, but there are times when alternatives exist, even if they're more expensive. It's great that We Can Play has gone the extra mile here without skimping on quality. I mean, the illustrations are wonderful. Albert Pinillo's style works perfectly. It's slightly cartoony without feeling childish. It's really appealing and the color palette adds to this really well. The cardstock is also really nice and the cards have a linen finish, which means they don't slide about. The box is also good quality, and even though you might prefer to put the game into a tuck box, so it's easy to take with you, the box the game comes in is still pretty small, basically 2 decks of cards side by side. I'm really pleased with We Can Play. It's really easy to learn, very quick to play, and will appeal to people from all age groups. It's the sort of game you probably want to play several times in a row, maybe in the form of a best-of contest, where you play a set number of rounds and whoever won the most games at the end wins. So if you want a game where you have fun while learning about amazing women from the past and the present, then We Can Play is definitely for you.
Thank you for listening to this Tabletop Games Blog Saturday Review podcast. Please check the description below for links mentioned in this episode, as well as to the written version of this article on the blog. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, give us some stars or leave a review. Please also tell your friends about me, and if you want to offer financial support, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi pages, links to which you'll find in the blog at tabletopgamesblog.com. So thank you again for listening, and I hope to see you again soon. This podcast was made possible by the generous help of my Patreon supporters.
Royal Patrons, Nicholas Higgins and Sean Newman.
Magic Champion Zeb Hicks. Castle Guards David Miller and James Naylor. Dice Masters Alex Bardi, Paul Grogan and Robin Kay. And Shining Lights Gavin Jones, Sarah Reed, Richard Simpson and Tim Vernick.